And it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start the week with some cringe content, courtesy of Hollywood. Here is Jeff Bridges on Jimmy Kimmel's awful program, reprising his dude character. It does not go well.
And, yeah, ice. Let's get ice off our streets and into our beverages. This aggression will not stand, huh? Right?
Right.
So let's just abide, abide together. Yes, we can do this. Now, that's just like my opinion, but it's a good one. Don't you
That's
think,
a pretty
Jay?
great opinion,
Yeah,
I think.
man.
Thank you, dude.
You can see why Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are circling the drain after that little suspension bump. Not only is he miserable, unfunny and cringe, but so are his guests. And talking about miserable and unfunny, let's check in on alleged comic Trevor Noah, who decided he was going to make jokes about Charlie Kirk and his murder. And he did that by lying about it. He might think this is edgy, but it's just trash. Unfunny, dumb trash, lacking any wit or insight.
I wasn't going to say anything about Charlie Kirk, but don't. There's nothing funny about it. Oh, now you tested me. I mean, there's nothing funny about it? You can't say there's nothing funny about it. No, there's nothing fun. No, don't say that, because as a comedian, I'll be like, I'm sure there's something funny about it. The guy was shot while defending guns. Do you understand how... I'm not even writing that as a joke. As a human, you have to admit that is an incongruous, funny thing that happens. You are there, you're like on stage and you're like, let me tell you why people should have guns. Wapa!
What a pitiful jerk. And for the record, Charlie wasn't killed defending the Second Amendment. He was murdered as he was about to answer a question about trans killers, about trans activists committing acts of violence. But Trevor Noah didn't make that point, did he? If he wanted to talk about irony, he could have talked about the fact that Charlie was allegedly murdered by a trans activist in a relationship with someone who is trans, who murdered Charlie as he was answering a question about trans violence. Trevor Noah doesn't have the guts to do that. He just plays to the easy leftist loser crowd who don't want to laugh. They want to applaud right-on comments like trained seals. Now, let's talk about awfuls, affluent, white, female leftists. They're a growing problem and they dominate Democrat ranks. Yes, there is something wrong with Democrat women, and it runs a lot deeper than the craziness of the squad. Let's look at the woman who is the front runner to be the most powerful in America. She's the front runner to be the next governor of California. Here's a brief highlights package of her meltdown on CBS recently.
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%? So you don't think
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question? It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer. What I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered our follow-ups.
I don't care.
Yep, that's Katie Porter, and she's leading in the polls to take over California, the 4th biggest economy in the world. Maybe that meltdown will change things, but she's been unhinged for a long time. Here she is berating a staff member for getting in her shot.
If we don't electrify our transportation sector, that we're going to lose more than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
And let's hear this election night story from Katie Porter involving her young daughter.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. She said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people.
Oh, Katie, you brought your family into this. That was a mistake, because we're now going to check in on what happened during your divorce proceedings. Yes, Katie's ex-husband, Matthew Hoffman, detailed that the Democrat frequently abused him and threw all sorts of things at him during their marriage. She once shattered a glass coffee pot on their kitchen counter when she felt their house wasn't clean enough. The ex-husband also said, she would not let me have a cell phone because she said, you're too effing dumb to operate it. And most incredibly, he said that Katie Porter once became so incensed by the way he was making mashed potatoes that she raised a ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped them on his head, burning his scalp. And she's the front runner to be the governor of California. Goodness me, Democrats are slow learners. And talking about slow learners, let's check in with ABC. Let's have a look at Vice President J.D. Vance absolutely demolishing George Stephanopoulos, the long-term Democrat operative turned ABC News anchor. Did not see this coming, and his reaction to it was to abruptly end the interview. This is certainly a lefty losing it.
I don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
Joining me now is Newsweek Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel Josh Hammer. Josh, J.D. Vance had this to say about that interview he posted on X. Peace in the Middle East, China threatening critical supply chains, government shutdown. No, George doesn't care about that. He's here to focus on the real story, a fake scandal involving Tom Homan. I've got to say, Josh, I don't know why George quit that interview so abruptly. Surely he's not so sensitive about JD calling out his dwindling audience numbers?
Yeah, Rita, ABC, let's not forget, was the media organization that hosted the vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, a truly loathsome and pathetic attempt at a moderated debate. That was actually probably the single worst moderated debate, at least in my estimation, of the entire cycle last year. So they've shown their true colors. I mean, frankly, when it comes to the corporate media here in the United States, who has not shown their true colors? I mean, CBS News making a very interesting decision in hiring Barry Weiss to be editor-in-chief. We'll see how that plays out. But ABC certainly doubling down on stupid. And J.D. Vance is totally right, by the way, which is that this is exactly why all these networks are just losing ratings. ABC is also Jimmy Kimmel's network. That we saw what happened with Jimmy Kimmel recently, when you had Sinclair and Nexstar and various other affiliates that decided to briefly drop his show from the air. So Rita, this is why more Americans in general, especially in my generation, millennials, Gen Z, this is why so many people come up without even having access to TV. The people these days get their news on the internet. They get their news on social media here. I mean, very few people are watching ABC, NBC, and CBS other than boomers 65 and up there. But J.D. Vance is not a boomer. J.D. Vance is very much of, by, and for a younger generation. That's one of the many reasons, Rita, why I was so personally excited and gung-ho about his political candidacy in the first place there. And I think it's one of his major appeals moving forward as we barrel ahead towards 2028.